So 1031 exchanges, that's what we're going to be discussing today. This is a great tax opportunity for investors to grow their portfolios into bigger and better properties. So we're going to be discussing that here in a minute. What's going on, everybody? RE Solutions here with our weekly Tidbit Thursday. And as you know, we are going to be discussing 1031 exchanges today, cover a little bit about capital gains, but not too much on it. But before we get started with that, if you don't know who we are RE Solutions. We are a residential real estate and property management company that loves to educate and help individuals find solutions for their real estate needs by doing this every week on Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. And we also do a bunch of other little seminars to try to help individuals sell. No, oh, hey, that's not you.
We switch seats.
Yeah. There we go.
I've always wanted luscious locks.
So anyway, we love to try to educate individuals in any which way we can with this and seminars and all kinds of other stuff. So
I know 1031 exchanges and capital gains is tricky. So I got my IRS fact sheet printed out.
We
ready
printed
to
a
go.
lot of information out just to make sure we're giving you accurate and appropriate information.
yes, a lot of individuals don't know exactly what a 1031 exchange is, and a lot of investors actually don't know what a 1031, and it's kind of tricky. You have to have that, intermediary or that person that knows exactly what the steps are, because it's a timeline thing, right?
Yes.
So
first, let's talk about capital gains.
Yes.
We're just going to touch on it because capital gains is the reason why a lot of people want to do 1031 exchanges. So do you have just like a definition of it?
I don't really have a definition, but generally speaking, a capital gains tax is what you are charged by the federal government when you sell a property. I know Pete has a really cool chart up there. I believe if you're a single person and you sell a home, especially when it's an investment property and you make more than $250,000 on it, that's when you're going to start getting taxed. If you're a married couple selling a home, it's $500,000. Did I get that right?
Yes.
I hope so, because I can't see the chart because it's really small.
Any questions about capital gains taxes, you definitely want to talk to your tax pro about that.
Yes.
Because you do have to file when you sell a home. And even when you buy a home, you should file that in your taxes.
Yes, because once again, it's a timeline kind of thing. So once you actually file that, you have a certain amount of time to actually find a property and close on a property and all that stuff. And we'll cover that here in a minute. So
doing a 1031 exchange will defer that capital gains tax. Key word is defers it.
Yes, you still have to pay. However, we kind of kick the can down the road a little bit. If you could, allowing you the opportunity to save those funds.
And make more money.
Make more money in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yes. So with capital gains, the chart was up there. Basically what you are charged after the net proceed of you sell your property, and there's some other factors that that can come in too. So you can have a deferred, and let me see if I can find my notes real quick, a depreciation deduction, and you can so you can have that taken out first, and then once you have your net proceeds, that is what's going to be taxed. So depending on whether you're married or not, depending on how much money you make, is how much you're going to be taxed. Okay. And then if you have high income, there's also could be an additional net investment income tax. And that's a 3.8% increase. Okay. So that is why it's very important to speak to a CPA and understand capital gains and things of that.
Where you stand.
Yes.
Like my daddy would say, it's clear as mud.
Yes,
because it has to do with taxes and
but you know
rules
what?
And
investors are always good with money.
Yes.
Not money, the numbers.
Yes.
I'll just say the numbers.
Yes.
They're always looking at the numbers. So if it is a true investor and they do want to do a 1031 exchange to get a different property,
Yeah.
they're going to crunch those numbers.
Yes, and actually 1031 exchanges are really meant for businesses and investment properties,
Yes.
because as a homeowner, if you sell your primary residence, there are other ways that you can file your taxes that may help you save on not having to
Right.
pay so much.
Yeah.
But definitely with the investment properties and the businesses, then you kind of get hit because it's not your primary residence.
Right. And that's where the 1031 comes in, because
Yes.
it's only for investment properties.
Yeah.
basically.
Yes. So one of the things about a 1031, because when I started in the business years ago, I just thought, oh, you can just exchange a property for a property, but that is not true. You have to, there's rules about that too.
Yes.
So
Of course.
of course, right. So basically you're going to have a property that you're selling, and now you're going to get another property, usually. So like the IRS, yes. Like kind, yes. So first of all, you cannot buy another property that's going to be used personally.
Right.
So you cannot move into it. It cannot be a vacation home. It has to fit in that investment business category.
So
okay.
You can't use an FHA or VA or any
Right.
government-backed
Right.
loan in order to do a 1031 exchange.
Right. And so you will buy, so the next property, and again, you would use that, Pete had mentioned it, an intermediary. So an intermediary is somebody who understands 1031s, they're trained in it, and that is what they do. They're going to help you, determine, yes, this would qualify, this would not qualify. And I believe and I didn't see this in our research, and I will have love to have a expert on this, but from what I understand, that next investment has to be equal to or above
greater. Yes.
what you have sold.
Yes.
Yes.
And that intermediary, I would recommend a title company or an
Mhm.
attorney, somebody that can hold on to your money, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. Basically hold your hand through the whole process.
That too,
Because
so you don't go to jail.
Right.
We like to keep our friends out of jail.
Yeah.
And there are different types of exchanges. The simplest one is I guess you're just basically, it's called simultaneous. And so that's the simplest one, where you're just getting rid of one and getting one that's something like, but there's also what is called a deferred 1031 and a reverse 1031. So again, if you want to know more about that, then speak to a 1031
Specialist.
specialist. Yeah, I was going to say expert, but that's a better word.
Specialist. I put in my 2 cents. I'm done.
Do you have that really cool graphic, Pete?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Because that's we're going to get into now that you know if you qualify, who can do 1031 and why you should do 1031. We're going to get into how the simplified version of how to do
Yes.
a 1031.
So step one is usually always identify the property you're actually wanting to sell, like Denise had referenced, and you're wanting to make sure it's not your primary or a vacation home. It has to be specifically a business or investment-based property that you're looking for. You then want to identify the property you want to buy. In doing that, the property you're selling and the property you're buying have to be like kind. Now, there's in all of our research, we found that that's a very broad term. When referencing like kind, which is why it's important to have that title company or lawyer on your side to make sure that they can walk you through what that like kind it should be.
Like, so for example, I'm going on that. So let's say you have a single residential, but now you want to buy a multiplex. That is allowed, So you just have to again, the intermediary, they're going to tell you, yes, you can do this. You can buy this when you sell this. So it's not just like, oh, it has to be a house for a house, or it has to be land for land. They're as long as you're increasing, it seems like you can do that exchange.
So according to the IRS, what they qualify as like kind exchange, again, talk to somebody if you have any questions, but a like kind property is a property of the same nature, character, or class.
Yes.
So
Okay.
your next step is then to, like we've been discussing, finding that qualified intermediary, right? If you're not going to receive any proceeds from the sale and there's no income to tax, that's the general idea behind a 1031. Is just being able to kind of swap right on over, right? So one way to make sure you don't receive cash prematurely is to work with that intermediary. Research shows that sometimes they're called an exchange facilitator,
Right.
and they're going to hold the funds in escrow for you until the
Mhm.
exchange can be completed, assuming that the sale and the purchase don't take place simultaneously.
So they actually hold your
Mhm.
proceeds. So
Yes.
you never really get the money out of the sale of your home.
Right.
Yes.
The intermediary is the one that actually holds that money, and then you have to find a property that you're going to purchase or try to purchase within a certain time frame of 45 days. Right.
And that's smart, because I know I would be like, oops, I spent $10. Yeah. Okay.
So then the fourth step is deciding how much of those sale proceeds or whatever can be transferred simultaneously to that next property. You don't have to reinvest all of the sale proceeds into it, but generally you can defer capital gains tax on the portion you're reinvesting. So if you keep some of the proceeds, you might end up paying some capital gain tax now
For that one,
in the
yes.
meantime
Mhm.
and then the remainder would get pushed down to a later date. Now, it's important while all this is happening, more than anything, is to keep an eye on the calendar, right? Because
There are two timelines.
Yeah.
You gotta
for the most part,
adhere
you have to meet two different timelines.
to. Mhm.
First, you have 45 days from the date you sell your property to identify potential replacement properties, and you have to do that in writing or share it with the seller of your qualified intermediary.
So basically, there needs to be a contract.
Yes.
You know, so
Within 45
whether
days.
you're using a real estate agent, it's the 1 to 4, whatever contract you're using, or I guess an attorney, or somebody who write it in legalese.
Legalese, I love that.
Yes.
It's a word.
Yeah, it's a word. So that way, and basically in my research, I was reading that it has to have the legal address of the property. Okay.
Yes.
And then the second real timeline factor is you have to buy the new property no later than 180 days after you sell the old property or after your tax return is due, whichever one is earlier.
Okay. So that's about 6 months. So you have 6 months in the
Close on another
entire
property.
process, and you really only have a month and a half to find a property. So yeah, interesting.
Right.
Okay.
So then you need to be careful about where the money is, right? So the whole idea behind a 1031 exchange is that you didn't receive any proceeds, hopefully, right? You hopefully put it all towards the sale so you don't get taxed right there. And taking control of the cash or other proceeds before the exchange is done may disqualify the deal and make your gain immediately taxable.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So there's that aspect. And then the last final step and the most important step is tell Big Daddy IRS all about the transaction.
Big Daddy.
Uncle
huh?
Sam. Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam
Never
needs
heard
to
Big
know.
Daddy, but-
Big Daddy Uncle Sam. Right. And it's IRS form 8824.
Yeah, with your tax return.
And this
And-
form, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say the big thing about this, not the big thing, but some important things to keep in mind is one, relationships matter. Your qualified intermediary can't be a relative, can't be your attorney, can't be a banker, an employee, an accountant, or your real estate agent.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
That's
has to be a
interesting to
separate
find out.
individual.
Yeah.
That way you can't coerce them to give you the money.
And the other, yeah, or you want to be careful about who intermediary is, because if they go out of business or go bankrupt, you could lose your money. So you want a trusted person,
Yes.
trusted company that's going to work that for you.
yes.
And also just remember, it's not going to get you out of paying taxes.
Yeah. When we want to keep saying that, you're still gonna pay taxes.
It's
It's
just
just
a deferral.
when.
I've heard horror stories of some real estate groups, investment groups will say, just do a 1031 and you don't pay taxes. And it's like, but really you do.
Yes.
You just don't pay it
Yes.
at that moment.
Yes.
Yeah. And make sure that you don't touch that money.
Yes.
Because if
Yes.
you touch it, it's yours and you got to account for it.
You gotta
Yes.
count. Yep.
Another
Text.
another thing that I found out throughout this whole process, throughout the research, is that timeline of the 45 and 180 days
Mhm.
is pretty strict.
Mhm.
However,
I know
if
that
there
spoke
is
to your heart, didn't it?
yes,
This
Yes.
she keeps us on track.
however, if there is a presidential declared disaster, then you may get an extension.
That
So
makes
that's
sense.
something good to know if God forbid something happens and you're like, oh my, no, you can. But again, you would work with your 1031
Mhm.
specialist for that.
Disasters are coming all the time.
I know.
Well, there's
I
a
know. They're
reason
being
for that
declared.
too. And
Yes.
that way it can release funds.
Right.
If they declare a disaster, it can release funds quicker to that area, is what I was talking about with
Yeah.
a
So
friend the other day.
And so if you want to read more about 1031s, if you're that type of person, it is in IRS section 1031,
Wow.
Yeah.
1033, and 121.
Yes.
Okay. So
And that's kind of really I would love to say
that's
that
a
there's
basic version,
that's a basic
right? Yes.
aspect of it.
Yes.
We are real estate professionals, but we are not lawyers. We are
Not
not
disclaimers.
tax
Yeah.
professionals, any of those things. So those would be individuals that would be able to assist you fully all the way through it.
But what we can do is put you in contact with those individuals.
Yes.
Yes.
and
So-
help you find the property.
And help you
Yes.
find a property, yes. So-
They can help you find the like kinds.
Yeah.
I keep doing air quotes because in everything I read, they
Yeah.
had quotes around it.
Yeah.
Like kinds.
Yeah.
I love
That's
how
funny.
they do that. Except the IRS. They don't have a sense of humor.
Yeah, they don't.
There's no air quotes on there.
I'm so sorry if you work for the IRS.
Sorry.
But
Take me out for a drink and prove me wrong.
but as always, we want to give you some basic information because we do have a lot of owners that decide, well, I don't want this property anymore for whatever reason, but I still want to have an investment property. So this is just a great way for them to
Have a little more understanding
Yes.
about what their
Mhm.
options are
yeah, so
when it comes time to if they do want to sell and
yes.
Yes.
And I believe, and this will be a 1031 specialist question. If you started your property as a personal, and then it became a investment, then you can do a 1031.
If you are a 1031 specialist, please answer because that's a great question.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Call
that
us.
is a good question.
Yes.
Respond. Let us know what the answer to that would be because
I believe so because I had a buyer once, and he had bought his house years and years ago, and it had been an investment for years. So I'm pretty sure there's rules, but yeah,
I know there's always rules.
there's always rules.
Of course, it's the IRS.
Hey Pete,
Huh?
before we wrap up, I have a joke for you.
Oh gosh, is it
Spring is
clean?
coming, so
April Fool's is coming.
Hey, that's true.
Just
It's
around
my
the
daughter's
corner.
birthday.
It's true.
She
20.
Never mind.
I
Too.
know. So my joke is, since spring is coming, what do houses wear?
I don't know.
And
Springwear?
a dress.
Ah!
I was like, I know that joke.
Wow.
They wear
Oh.
and a dress.
A dress.
I don't know. Never mind.
That's
Anyway.
why I asked Pete.
We've been talking a lot about sellers, obviously. This weekend, we do have our home seller seminar. This one's going to be at the Fairnon Align Mortgage destination or
Thank you,
Office.
Alliance, for
Location.
hosting us. and-
location. Yeah. So we will be talking about selling your home, the advantages of selling your home now in San Antonio. With the shortage of homes that we have right now, homes don't stay on the market too long. So we'll be talking about that. And then also the week after on Saturday, we'll be talking about Landlord 101 for those individuals that actually do 1031 exchanges and now they have an investment property and they want to go ahead and manage it on their own.
Mhm.
We will give you the information that you need to know so that you can do that on your own. So that's going to be the same place at Align Mortgage on Saturday, not this Saturday, but the following
The following.
Saturday. And that's going to be at 10:30,
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
It's always 10 o'clock.
Always 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. at the Line Mortgage. So,
Mhm.
and just be on the lookout for that on our Facebook page. We send information out about all of our seminars all the time and stuff like that. So if you please go ahead and follow and like us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and our YouTube channel. This video will be on our YouTube channel along with all of our other videos. So I don't want to bore you with other announcements, but that's it for now. Y'all have anything else?
That is it.
That's it.
No?
And we're still trying to do the Homes for Heroes webinar. So
Yes.
the next one should be Tuesday. So look for information on our Facebook page regarding that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you for watching, and we will see you next week at Tidbit Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. All right.
Next
See you later.
Thursday.
Take care.